you. So before I start talking, I'm going to, it's going to be a little bit different. Some of you have seen me speaking before. So today we're going to be doing something different. So bear with me. Can you clearly see me? Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
So I will be walking and sitting at the same time. You make me angry. You make me angry. Has someone ever pulled your hair? Pulled it so hard, leaving you with a bald patch, crawling on the floor, bleeding and crying for your dear life? Have you ever been punched? Have you ever been punched lights out by a man who vowed to be your protector? Hello, beautiful people. My name is Lynn Pasi. I'm 36 years old and I reside in Sydney, Australia with my two beautiful heartbeats. The Shinga, 14 years old, and Riley, 3 years old, going on 25. I'm here to share my story. So take a minute, walk in my shoes. My then husband and I were known to be the golden couple, the perfect role model. Young families adored us. It started in the first couple of months into our marriage. I was pregnant, I was hopeless, and I realized that I had no clue what was happening. I was pregnant. I was only about 12 weeks pregnant, and I found myself in a prison. It's funny I say I was in a prison because you know what? My then husband was actually a prison warden. So you'd expect him to know better. I was only 21. And I had signed up my life to domestic violence. Soon after our marriage, 16 weeks into our honeymoon phase, my marriage started falling apart. I started serving my sentence unknowingly. And despite me being 12 weeks pregnant, I was still beaten up. I remember one day climbing through that little kitchen portal, that little hatch, trying to escape from him. And he grabbed me by my ankles and he yanked me onto the floor. And my belly hit so hard on the floor, and I thought I was going to lose my son. What would the world say? I thought to myself. It's only been 16 weeks. 16 weeks. What a shame. What would my family say? My people, my culture, my grandmother, who sang and danced that I was married. In Africa, in some families, being married is a lifetime achievement. So I had accomplished something. I'd accomplished something so many young women in Africa aspire to do. What was I going to say? I questioned myself daily. And I just didn't know what to do. I'm here to share my story and hopefully inspire women who might be going through something similar or who might know people who are going something similar. I will share with you in detail what I went through. This black eye, it was real. So many people looked at me, but they just walked away. No questions asked. Imagine my 5-foot little petite self, weighing 49 kilos at 21, being pushed around like a rag doll by a 6'2" man weighing 110 kilos. Just imagine that. Ladies, walk with me. Stay with me in this moment as I share my story. Can you see my blood? Can you see my wounds? Can you feel my fear? Can you feel my pain? Can you feel my sorrow? The anxiety attacks kicked in as I was sitting in the closet, rocking myself, and I didn't know what it was. Being a typical African woman, I didn't know any better. I didn't know there was anything called anxiety, and I didn't know I was experiencing anxiety. I would sit in the closet trembling in the dark, scared that my husband is coming home from work. Changing the channel. I know you ladies, you love touching the remote. I laugh as if it's a joke. Changing the channel was inappropriate in my household. You would get a beating. I would get a beating from changing the channel. One day he sat me down and asked me, he said, Lynn, if God was to drop down on earth and ask you, what would you like me to change? What would you say? Confidently, again, my 5 little petite self, I said nothing. I'm happy. I'm proud of how God made me. I'm not ashamed of how I look. Little did I know that I was buying a ticket to another beating. I was name called. Anything, the worst you can think of. Because he felt I was too proud. He felt I was showing off because I didn't want God to change anything. He would do everything in his power to crush me down so that my self-esteem would vanish. The migraines started kicking in. Depression sunk in. I was on antidepressants. Suicidal thoughts came in. And after I had my baby, this was me holding my son. At midnight, whilst he was at work, I just walked out and stood in the middle of the road with my hands spread out because I was hoping, I was praying for a truck just to come and ram me over because it was just too much. It became unbearable. Abortions kicked in, forced abortions, because that wasn't part of the budget. But contraception was banned. I'm strong. I can talk about the violence because I walked away happy and smiling. But no woman should ever face being forced to abort. I lost 2 children I will never get. The kicks in my tummy just to try and get rid of the baby. He would fall into moments where he would be so scared that I would steal his mother because his mom was so in love with me. She thought I was the best daughter-in-law God had ever given her. but he was jealous because of our relationship. He would have dreams about me cheating on him, and I would get beatings. It sounds like a fictional story, but this happened. He would wake up and beat me up and say, I heard you dated in high school, so it's time for me to discipline you. You were a bitch and you weren't raised well. So he would sit me on the floor to discipline me because I was a whore. Concussions came, carpet burns, near-death experiences, emotional blackmail, financial abuse, sexual abuse, everything that anyone could think of. He would create emails with somebody's name, John Smith. Send me an email, hey baby, I'd love to date you. And straight after work, he would ask me to log into my emails and say, you know what? I've got a feeling that you got an email from somebody. And I would get a beating for that. It took a very smart IT guy to figure that one out for me 3 years later, that it was actually my husband who was doing that to me. My compelling vision of seeing myself happy and the resilience within me was my drive to my freedom. The love that was instilled within me by my parents was the fuel to that drive. I'll ask you, how does a village raise a child when a village is shattered and dysfunctional? In Africa, we always say it takes a village to raise a child. A village is not just found in Africa. A village is found where people exist. I talk about this village because wherever you are listening to me speak, you are in a village. You have to reach out to people if you see a black eye. Reach out, ask, don't be scared. It could be your daughter, it could be your sister. You could find yourself in that situation. We cannot feed the hungry without checking in on each other. We cannot just sit at home donating money online and say we're helping when you cannot check in on a person who's just across the room or who's sitting right next to you. We cannot reduce, let alone stop suicides happening without checking in on each other. A good friend of mine rang me the night that I was standing in the middle of the street hoping for the truck to ram me down. She said, Lynn, stop. It's not worth it. And I owe it to her. She saved my life. She saved my son's life. Have you saved anyone's life? I have another question for you. What has happened to us? In my country, in Zimbabwe, they always say, kuti unzi munhu hunhu. My Zimbabwean sisters on the platform understand what that means. I'll translate it for you. It means for you to be called a person, it's your attitude, it's your traits, it's your character. This statement alone speaks volumes when you self-reflect. Let's stop killing each other. Let's stop being ignorant to what's happening around us. Pick up the phone, call, ask questions, visit each other. If you see that there's something wrong, push. It's better to push than to carry a dead body and feel responsible that you could have done better. I know it's a little bit weird because we are online, but I'll ask, who is prepared to rise and stand up against domestic violence? Let's save our girls, women. Let's save our children. Let's save our daughters. Let's save men. There are some men who are also involved in domestic violence. This is about humans. It's about the society. It's about that village that I'm talking about. Your neighbor. If you stand with me, if you're prepared to stand with me, let's get out of our seats right now. Let us raise our right hands and say, I stand in solidarity with this cause of stopping domestic violence.
Unmute. I stand.
I stand in solidarity.
I stand in solidarity
With this cause to stop domestic violence.
with this cause to stop domestic violence.
Thank you, ladies. One more thing. If you are inspired with my story, please reach out. Invite me on your platforms. I'm more than willing to come and talk with teenage girls, women, elderly, anyone who you feel needs to hear this message. I do run my coaching company. It's about inspiring people to live in a positive mindset, in a happy moment, and finding your purpose in life. And also, you can reach me through HerStory Circle with Gertrude Mache. I'm under her wing and I'm proud. Thank you.